And now, a word from
Infirmary Media.
It's time for Blumpkin and Friends, starring your host, the Reverend Johnny Blumpkin.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
Hey kids, I'm the Reverend Johnny Blumpkin, and with me here today is my friend,
Graeme of ITradio.
and we are talking about a not fun topic today.
No, not at all.
We are talking about Keith Flint, the now deceased singer from the Prodigy, which is an electronic music act that is world famous and beloved by millions and millions, who recently killed himself via hanging.
That came out today, even though it really doesn't matter as far as when the podcast comes out. But still.
Right, and the reason you're here is because the Prodigy is one of your all-time favorite musical acts.
Something like that. Yeah.
And you pitched this episode idea.
Somewhat, even though I didn't want to do it. Last week it would have sucked.
Yeah.
But give it a week and shit pops up on your computer. But no, yeah, last week it would have sucked, especially since I was supposed to see them in 2 months.
Right, they were going to do a full, U.S. tour, or they were doing a world tour?
Well, full U.S. tour, which is 10 shows. But for them, it's U.S. tour.
Well, if you're not from here, I can see why that would be considered a full tour.
Yeah, big time. No, it completely sucks because 17-year-old me would have not have believed, however fuck how old I am, 37-year-old
Are
me.
you guessing? Or
Yeah, I had to figure it out in the card again. I'm like, what year is it?
geez.
Oh, wait, nope, I haven't hit 2000. Yeah, I'm 37.
Not till July.
Yeah. But no, I was like, fuck yeah, sweet. In Chicago. I mean, it's not the first time that they've been in Chicago, but this time I actually had the means and jumped on the opportunity to go.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, it's probably not going to happen because it would be, I mean, it'd be cool, obviously, to see Maxim and Liam do it, but I don't think they'll be able to pull it off just because it's not having Keith on the show.
Like, not on stage, not having a presence.
Yeah.
I don't think they'd go the hologram route like so many people bandy about these days.
I don't think, no, the holograms, aren't they just like in one spot? They're not really running across the stage.
Correct.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't think you'd be able to pull that off with Keith running across the stage.
Was that what he's doing? Was just running laps back and forth like a madman?
Somewhat. I mean, but he'd also get in the crowd too and do shit like that. I mean, he wasn't just standing up in front of a microphone.
What if they used pre-recorded vocal tracks?
I mean, you could do it, but it still wouldn't be the same. I don't know. I mean, give them 2 months. They may do it, but who knows? Because I know that one of the interviews that I read with Liam was that he was thinking, I mean, we're already almost hitting 30 years old. It's time to hang it up, retirement, or at least probably from touring.
Right.
Because, yeah, doing a 2-hour show is at 59 or 49. And I'm not sure how, I mean, Liam just stands behind the keyboards but it's still, it's 2 hours a night that you have to have the endurance for.
I could see them doing it if they had like a video screen, like above them, showing him during the songs that he would perform if they're just playing the video.
Yeah, maybe.
Or something, or they're showing past performance footage, so he's there in spirit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big fucking deal when one of the main wheels falls off, and you got to keep this car turning down the road because it's your income.
I mean, they've got income, obviously, and they just,
right.
From what I've read, too, is I think all 5 studio albums and the live album have all hit in the top 50 for downloads or streaming.
No shit?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know their last 7 albums have all gone to number 1 in the UK.
Yeah, well, that's obvious. US, it died out probably right after Fat of the Land. It didn't help that Always Outnumbered, Never Outgunned kind of sucked.
Buddy, I know you're sad about Keith Flint, but now is not the fucking time, bud. Oh, God.
Now we have both of them. No, they're trying to add the screaming lyrics.
Right. Now, and I realized we just went into a bunch of just boring, monotonous talking. The Prodigy was my first real immersion into electronic music. I'm guessing that it's pretty much the same for you because you said nearly as much. But obviously people are like, who the fuck is Keith Flint? He's the Firestarter song guy that was so popular in 97.
The dude with the Jack No Hawk.
Yeah.
And trying to search Jack No Hawk, you can't find that shit on Instagram. Because I was trying to find him, like, does anyone else have it? Like, it was big as far as knowing what it was in, like, the late 90s, early 2000s. And then it died out. Just because people weren't talking about the hairstyle anymore. But, nope, I had him. I had the Jack No Hawk. The double mohawks, if you will. If you look at some of his pictures, like, later on, not his Firestarter time where it was literally shaved right down the middle and had hair on the sides, but it was just the two mohawk strips. Mine didn't go all the way back, though.
So basically, The Fat of the Land was their biggest record stateside.
Yes.
It came out in 97.
Yep.
It exploded, and it had become a major cultural influence for electronic music stateside.
Them, Chemical Brothers.
Can I throw Fatboy Slim in there?
I was going to say him, but Daft Punk.
Daft Punk.
It's all around that same time, but yeah. I mean, Moby was around, but it wasn't as hard as Chemical Brothers and Daft Punk.
I just remember my first exposure to them, the Prodigy, I mean, was in the movie Hackers, because their music is featured prominently in the movie. Voodoo People and One Love are the two songs that were on the first soundtrack, and they released 3 soundtracks to that movie because there was so much good music in it. And I own the first 2, and they were just fucking great, and that made me get interested enough to go and seek out their other stuff. So before Fat of the Land even really was out and blown up, I checked out music for the Jilted generation. I have a tendency to hear something and not just go with what I hear right there. I want to delve deeper into the back catalog and see how we got to here.
And when we were talking about doing this show, it was like, no, both of us, it's like, oh, sweet. It's like Insane Clown Posse. Everyone kind of got into them with the Great Milenko, or that's the one that blew up. But then, let's go see all the other shit. Right.
So you talked about Prodigy is largely responsible for your interest in getting into making electronic music.
Yeah. My high school actually had an electronic music class.
Fuck you. You went to high school in Wisconsin and you guys had that?
Yeah. And it was like complete MIDI shit. It wasn't, there weren't samples. It was fucking this app called Music Box, and it was the 16-channel general MIDI bullshit. And I didn't get into the sample-based stuff until Ableton 1.5 in 2003. But no, the Prodigy, I don't know where, obviously it was MTV. If it was Firestarter, I'm thinking it was Breathe more than anything. And obviously Keith with his hair and the wild antics, it was like, fuck yeah, this is awesome. But yeah, dived into the back catalog. Jilted Generation is probably my favorite of the first 3 albums. I mean, Fat of the Land obviously holds a special place because it's the album that technically started it all for me. But the old school stuff, not as hard, if you will, but it had that rave feel that I never went to.
That's interesting, because I was just jamming out both those albums last night while I was doing some work. And I'm sitting here trying to do my billing. Well, this is fucking crazy rave shit's going on in my ears. I'm like, you know what? This is helping me push through because the time change is fucking with me. This springing forward can suck a dick. But
change your clocks the day before.
I'm not going to do that. Most of my clocks change themselves. So. Oh. But I think back, and I got into it, and I didn't know anybody else that was really into electronic music then. So it took me until like my second year in high school that I knew anybody else that was into this shit. And that's when I had friends that were obviously really big into the Fat of the Land. And then more electronic metal acts like Pitch Shifter. And then I got people that also appreciated it. I recall one time early in the morning, I would always get there super early because my dad had to drive me the first 2 years. So I'd get there sometimes right as the janitor's opening the fucking doors. And then The hallways are locked with the classrooms. You got to sit in the commons until an hour and change later. And I'm just jamming on my Sony Discman to The Fat of the Land. And I'm trying to read for a class, and some guy at the table is like this total Republican conservative do-gooder type. And he goes, how can you even think with that shit going on? Because he could hear it coming out of my headphones. I'm like, it's just good noise, man. It's getting me into it.
It drowns out everything else.
Yes.
Because there was no... Even the breakdowns, it wasn't... There was still enough noise that would still drown out everything. And then even if you did get distracted, it'd pick back up. And it's not like the drops that happen now in techno music. Now it's just like, okay, we've got 16 bars, here's the drop. And the Prodigy, especially with their last 2 albums, or 3, with Invaders Must Die, No Tourists, and...
The Day Is My Enemy.
Yes, thank you. I can never remember which...
The Fox cover.
Yeah, I'm like, the one with fucking Nasty on it. And The Day Is My Enemy is like my favorite song too, off that album, and yet I can never remember the fucking CD. Anyway, but I remember reading the interviews, and they were pretty much sticking it to the current techno scene. Mm-hmm. Because, here's CDJs. They're not producing, other than Deadmau5, like Dylan Francis, Skrillex, but they weren't sitting on CDJs. They pushed the envelope, and it was the gritty electronic sound that Fat of the Land was. And that's one thing that Fat of the Land didn't have, or that they had that other acts didn't have.
Because they had that crossover appeal with the hard rock crowd, too.
Mm-hmm. And people are shitting on the Chicago Open Air. Like, it's fucking electronic act. Go YouTube their shit and tell me that it's an electronic act when you've got a live drummer, you've got a live guitarist, and you've got a screaming maniac that's spitting on the crowd and swearing.
Well, there's this stopgap in my appreciation of electronic music from like the late 90s until about 2013, where I wasn't into it really at all. And what got me back into it was like Yellow Claw.
Haven't heard them.
DJs from Amsterdam.
Okay. So I went from Prodigy, then I went back into rock for quite a while, and then I started listening to on Pandora, like DJ Spooky, and that opened up the doors to DJ Shadow, who's been around for fucking ever. That opened up the doors to Deadmau5, as far as, here's Deadmau5, and here's his back catalog.
Right.
And I have all the albums as MP3s, except I don't have an MP3 player anymore.
See, and I don't think that if I would have ever been into Prodigy before,
mm-hmm.
and the late 90s, because back then we didn't call it electronic dance music.
No.
It was techno.
Electronica, techno, yeah. There were no subgenres. It was either techno or electronica.
There's a little bit of house and drum and bass.
Which is technically the Prodigy. As far as drum and bass, jungle.
But if it wasn't for them, I would never have been at the point where I would have even probably given consideration to a lot of the new EDM acts I'm into, like Major Lazer. And I've even gotten out of it again because it got to be so mainstream.
Mm-hmm. And half the acts, I listen to a lot of the Mousetrap artists.
Okay.
But like Skrillex, that was awesome for an album, and then it all sounded the same.
Like Marshmello was this guy that Skrillex kind of introduced the world to, helped him blow up, and now he's making fucking tracks with like Selena Gomez, and his shit is featured on pop radio. So it's got this crossover appeal that's great for the artist, but for me, I don't need you to help make a fucking pop diva song. I want to hear your crazy switches and sounds and your samples and all kinds of shit like that.
I have never listened to him and won't listen to him.
Because I just said all that?
Because I'm a Deadmau5 fan.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But it's important to note that because when Keith hooked up with Liam, it mm-hmm. brought a new dimension to the Prodigy. And I think he was the one that brought in that hard rock and punk rock aesthetic crossover appeal to mainstream rock fans that helped make electronic music more palatable to fans of those two genres.
Yep. And I can say that Liam also introduced me to the DJ turntable, like, so going into DJ Spooky and to DJ Shadow, because he released a DJ album, the Dirt Chamber Sessions, Volume 1.
I remember it, and it was a mix of all kinds of shit.
Yep. And Beastie Boys hated it because they were on it. Because at the time, Beastie Boys did not like Smack My Bitch Up, even though it was a chick doing the smacking.
Oh, well, too bad. Fucking get over it.
And I got that album a week before, or like a week or two before it was released.
Yeah.
Same place that sold the ICP stuff that wasn't supposed to be released, but yeah, they released it like 2 weeks early. Called my friend, like, dude, they fucking got it. Because yeah, there was only one friend that really was another Prodigy as much as I was, even though we went to the 2 different high schools in Eau Claire.
What up, Ninja? You're listening to Blumpkin and Friends.
How many, well, you said you've never really been to a rave, correct?
Yep.
But how many electronic artists have you seen live?
None.
None?
No.
Because I also have never been to a show with a strictly electronic artist.
I did try to see Perry, what's his fucking name? From Jane's Addiction.
Perry Farrell?
Yeah. So I went and saw, he, after one of the Jane's Addiction shows, he was going to, I don't think it was Porno for Pyros, Jane Addiction shows, and he was going to do a DJ set afterwards, and he sat up there and like was looking at the records while the first track was playing, and the cut sucked, and I was like, fuck it, I'm out of here.
That's unfortunate.
I don't know if we had comp tickets or we got there early enough that we didn't have to pay, but yeah, I was like, it's like, oh sweet, here's a DJ. No, it's like the celebrity DJs now. It's like, yeah, here, push the button, next track. It's
right.
Like not even your own shit.
I think because of the fact that a lot of people see today's electronic music as someone just sitting there behind 2 turntables and 2 laptops and hitting switches and pushing buttons. There's not a lot of... Some acts will get involved with the crowd and move around some, but that's something that the Prodigy had that a lot of acts did not. Yeah. And that's somebody that was all over the fucking stage, and that's why Keith was so great.
Yeah, because if it wasn't for Keith, the Prodigy would be still underground. Or
yeah,
they always
obscure.
Yeah. And because of Keith and Maxim, with his crazy-ass fucking contacts, there was just something different about them.
Weren't they tiger eyes?
That, and I think he also had the all black.
Okay.
Or at least he went all black eventually.
Part of why I was like, yes, we definitely should do a tribute episode to this dude. Because we both enjoyed his music. But then there's also the fact that he tried to do some solo stuff that technically did not see the light of day.
No. Because I know you said that there was the punk album. He was also...
Flint was the name of the act, and it was Device #1 was the album. And it's all on YouTube. I found a couple songs of it. I'm doing a Blumpkin Radio companion episode to this where we're going to play some Prodigy songs that feature Keith, and I'm going to play some of his Flint side project stuff.
Sweet. Oh, I was also into, like, 9 Inch Nails, too.
Okay.
So I think Prodigy got me into, and a friend of mine got me into 9 Inch Nails, and that would have been cool to see. And I never did get to see 9 Inch Nails. And my friend, the mutual friend of a friend that's also going to Chicago Open Air, we were trying to figure out who should open. And we are open for Tool if you want to say that they're opening or at least co-headlining. We don't want Korn.
Yeah, I don't see any reason to want to watch Korn play live now.
Early, but yeah, ITradio technically was Tourette's radio, if you will, but I don't need to see a 50-year-old dude say motherfucker, and I have no problem saying motherfucker 150 fucking times in a row, but I don't need to see this guy, all right, you motherfuckers, all right, you motherfuckers. If I want to watch a live album, I don't need to hear you try to rile up the crowd. It's like he's trying to be a DJ, and that's my problem with electronic acts, too, is if the fans are fans, they know when the drop is going to happen. Yeah. I don't need to have Skrillex telling me, all right, everybody, jump. We know that's the drop. because you never...
You feel the build-up. You hear the build-up.
Drain away from the same version of your track. It's pretty much you're playing the album.
Yeah, other artists might take it and remix it into their show some to do a mashup or something.
Prodigy was a good example because, yes, you had their CD version, but they would change up the songs. I know for a long time they didn't want to do Firestarter. They still would, but they changed it up in a way because you're doing this song for 20 fucking years.
Well, that and it's the one song that a lot of people are like, I fucking love that song. Yeah. Name any other song we've done. I can't.
Cock sucker!
Oh, thank God. Hello? Hello, police? Batman?
Right. I'm not doing that.
Hello?
Hello?
Oh, Doc,
Rock,
thank God. You gotta get me out of here. Wait a minute. Where are you?
I don't know. Some kind of sewer or something. Now come down here and get me.
I can't. I'm trapped, Doc.
Look, we can talk about your psychological problems later. Take a Valium and get over yourself. You need to get me out of here. I'm not alone, Brock.
What? Who's with you?
I don't know. He just keeps saying he's the fire starter. Hold on, he's coming back. Sir? Man, he's quick.
Well, ask him which way is out.
I tried. He won't stand still for 2 seconds. He's probably spaced up on yellow jackets from the looks of them. I'm trapped in a sewer with a confessed arsonist, Brock. Help me!
Venture Brothers is a show on Adult Swim. It's been on for a long-ass time. Mm-hmm. It's a great cartoon. Are you familiar with it?
No.
They did an episode seasons ago, like 3-4 seasons ago, where underneath the Venture compound was a secret society of weird fucking send-offs because his dad was a super scientist, so there were tunnels in an underground colony. And they found out about this underground tunnel system and went down there, and all of a sudden you see some guy running through the background and some weird music. Dr. Venture gets on his two-way comm with Brock. He's like, Brock, come in. I need your help. There's some guy down here, and he's telling me that I need to go with him. He's calling himself the fire starter. I don't know what's going on. They seriously basically put Keith in animated form, and he was running through the tunnels of this thing just to fuck with people. It was great. It was a nice homage.
So it was pretty much like Firestarter, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
You're listening to Blumpkin and Friends.
This baby's got a temper.
Oh, and the one song that Liam hated because it sounded too much like Fat of the Land was a track that Ben Saylor and I, and then eventually I mashed up to work with Josiah and Ben Saylor when they tag teamed, was Baby's Got a Temper. That was released shortly after Fat of the Land. And where they all love Rohypnol, she's got Rohypnol, and the video is you see these 3 old dudes go to this festival or this fairground, and it's not Liam, Maxim, and Keith. It's just 3 old dudes. They put the makeup on, and then all of a sudden it jumps into, when it picks up, it jumps to Keith on stage and Liam rocking out, and the crowd is a bunch of cows.
Odd.
Mm-hmm. So that was the Rohypnol, was the milk.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
And there was controversy with that song because Rohypnol being used as a date rape drug, and it was going to be a lead single from the album, but they moved away from the single because of the controversy before the album came out. Was that one on, what, Invaders Must Die? Always outnumbered, never outgunned.
Yeah, but it might have been on the album, but I think the reason they didn't want it on the album is because Liam said it was too much like Fat of the Land.
Huh.
He wanted to, and even on their 3rd album, or going into their 4th, they didn't want to be the same act that they were on the last album. They wanted to evolve.
That's good and important as an artist. Like, yeah. I can't just make songs about the shocker forever. I need to make other songs about looking at buttholes or having dead girlfriends.
16 years after the shocker was popular.
Yeah, why the fuck not?
Gotta bring it back somehow.
There's a very niche audience that I'm aiming for, and it's people that are our age that remember when this shit was funny for the first time 20 fucking years ago.
Back when Hot Topic had all the stickers.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had the, was it the 2 for the pink, 1 for the sting? I'm not sure if that was, I had that on my gig bag.
Did you?
Yeah. Nice. I think I got it, I can't remember which fucking CZW wrestler, but he had a shit ton of them, of the stickers, and I put it on my wrestling bag.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just going to throw out one last reminder that we are both fans of the Prodigy, and the episode is a tribute to Keith Flint and all that his music meant to us. And that being said, he will be very well missed by all parties involved, and it's unfortunate that his life ended in a tragic way with a suicide by hanging, because his personal life was fucked up.
You're listening to Blumpkin and Friends.
And with no discernible segue, we've reached the point in the show when it's time to play a game.
Fuck.
It's okay, you can really phone it in.
Okay.
Because you will be playing an RPS challenge.
Oh, okay, that one works.
Against number 1 fan Tim.
Is this championship challenge, or is this just...
No, this is non-title. The title picture is locked in an almost Bruno Sammartino-like staleness between Nurse Ashley, who is doing her thing, and I haven't stripped her of the title, and me, who's the placeholder interim champion. I can't give interim title shots to people till I get my shot at the unification match.
That works.
It's in the works. I'm working on it. Her fucking schedule is crazy, but we're working on it. Did you think I was going to make you play BS trivia and ask you a bunch of questions about the Prodigy or something?
No.
Because you had this panic on your face, like, fuck. I don't have the mental capacity.
It was going to be like, oh, here, which lyrics are these songs? I know, I could tell you the entire fucking bass line to whatever song and all of the fucking little beeps and blips, but yeah, no. Alright, RPS challenge. And shit.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Blumpkin and Friends proudly brings to you the Rock, Paper, Scissors Intercontinental Championship Challenge Championship of the World! The following contest is scheduled for 1 fall of 5 hands and is a non-title RPS exhibition match.
I like how it's 1 fall but 5 hands.
I'm trying to make it all wrestly.
Yeah.
In this corner, the master of ITradio and Filthy Talk and all things Vulgarity Chronicles, Graeme of ITradio. And in the opposing corner, because he texted me back before dumb shit Neil did, number 1 fan Tim.
Yay.
It helps to have a backup. I was going to throw you a bone and then make you go up against Neil, who's always just like, paper. I'm fucking funny. Fuck off. Hand number 1.
Rock.
You went rock, which is surprising. He went scissors. Point for you.
See, I was trying to be like, you know what, I know the whole psychology BS as far as the first hand. After the first hand, I haven't thought of any of the psychology stuff. But they always say that dudes go for rocks because that's just what dudes do.
It is what dudes do.
Yeah. So I was like, hey, I'll bring it up just to change it up for a change. Because I think if you go through, like, all of my hands, it usually never starts with rock.
It doesn't.
Yeah. On purpose. Hoping that's... Usually it's paper, hoping somebody throws a rock.
Hand number 2.
Let's do paper.
You went paper. He went scissors. We are tied 1-1. Hand number 3.
Paper.
You went paper. He went rock. So now you've got the jump on him again, heading into hand number 4.
Paper.
You went paper. He went paper. So that's a tie. So now he has to get this next one just to keep things going. Hand number 5.
Scissors.
You went scissors. He went scissors. So by default, you win 2 hands to 1.
You win.
Nice. Thanks. Awesome. Way to go, number 1 fan Tim. I finally won again.
Closing this out, you have gotten tribute tattoos in the past. Most prominently, your David Bowie one.
Yes.
Any idea or thoughts about perhaps getting the ant?
Yes.
Prodigy
I'll
logo?
show you after, but I've already got it, I think, set up. So there's the dripping... So the ant logo, if you've seen Prodigy Experience, Jilted Generation, it's on there. Fatherland had it, but it's not as prominent because of the crabs on the front.
Right, the cover, not somebody that has crabs.
Yeah.
Interact with the show on Twitter at Blumpkin Show. That is at Blumpkin Show. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/Blumpkin and friends. We are on iTunes and on Podbean at blumpkinshow.podbean.com. For original songs, go to soundcloud.com/blumpkinmusic. And for related shows from the same network, go to infirmary.org for Infirmary Media Podcasts. I'm the Reverend Johnny Blumpkin.
This is Graeme of ITradio.
Good night.